Okay, so this is our first podcast, Club Hideout, episode number 1. We have our guest Marie here tonight. Not tonight. It's actually the noon.
It's noon.
Yeah, it's definitely noon. Do you mind introducing yourself a little bit?
Well, hi. I'm Mary, as you said. I'm 22 years old. I'm from France. And I'm here with you to do the podcast.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming. So I appreciate you becoming the first guinea pig. The reason why I started this podcast is I wanted to invite some of my friends. So this is like my studio, my hideout. So that's why we called it the hideout. So I wanted to invite some of my foreign friends and some of my Korean friends here, talk about life, their journey, or I don't know, their dreams, ambitions, love life, whatever comes to mind. I just wanted to capture a genuine conversation with my friends, and I think it'd be good because sometimes when you have a good conversation and then if you don't record it, it's just wasted. But I always kind of wanted to capture it, and I think this is a good kind of format for me to capture a good moment. I mean, it doesn't have to be good. I'm not forcing it, but something genuine, something natural that could be fun.
Yeah.
So actually, I wanted to ask you some things about your perspective about love life, especially as a foreigner. Like I told you before, I may be a little biased because I recently went through a breakup, so I'm a little heartbroken.
Yeah.
So I might not be that. I might be a little. Not objective, but I'll try to be at least. Did you have any love life experiences while you were in Korea? I mean, how long have you been in Korea anyway? So
I've been in Korea for like 3 months, I think now.
only 3 months?
Yeah, only 3 months.
Okay, I thought you lived here for over a year. But okay, yeah.
Yeah, so only 3 months. So I didn't experience like any serious relationship because I didn't have the time in 3 months.
Okay.
But I experienced some dating life.
Yeah.
And I could feel that it's very, very different from France.
What were the major differences you found?
I don't know, like it's just like it has nothing in common, with the dating life in France. Like I felt like in a new world, like a new dimension.
Was it really that different?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, can you like maybe specify what the big differences were? Maybe.
I think it's what I noticed here is that when it comes to dating, people are looking maybe for like serious relationship.
Yeah.
And they're looking for that from the start before even getting to know the person. And in France, it's not like that. Like, of course, some people are looking for it, but mostly we wait to know more about the person and to see if we want something with that person or not, and to see if we feel something coming. So it takes more time in France to get in a serious relationship. But here...
Wait, I can definitely tell you're a little nervous. It's fine. Because I can tell. I can feel the energy. You're being a little tense. It's fine. It's completely fine. I'm pretty nervous too. Yeah. Not to cut you off from your story, but just like, day-to-day conversation. Hopefully, we will feel a little better.
Yeah. Anyway,
but
here people are going way much faster than
that
in
is
France.
true. I think one of the reasons why Koreans look for a faster relationship is because in Korea, physical intimacy, you don't give out physical intimacy that often in Korea. So that's why you kind of establish that you're going to date first and then become intimate physically with a person. But not everybody, but a lot of Westerners, they don't mind being physically intimate with somebody first and then deciding that they're gonna start a dating life. So maybe I think that's one of the biggest difference, maybe.
Yeah.
But why do you think that Westerners find it a little easier to be physically intimate than Koreans?
I don't know why, actually, but I think that maybe we're not obsessed with being in a relationship. We're not like for some people it's a goal, obviously. You know, like everybody is different. Everybody has their own perception of it. But for some people, like we know, I mean, for young people at least, but for young people, it's like we know we are young and we know like we're probably not gonna like be in a serious relationship with someone and find like the love of life and stay with that person for the rest of our life, you know.
Nervous.
Like we know that. We know that because we're still young and we know we still have a lot of things to experience.
That's true, yeah.
So maybe when we meet someone, we are just not looking for it. Like if it happens, we let it happen. But this is not like the first thing we think about. We just think about being like having some proximity with someone and feeling good with someone, and we just feel like, oh, it's going to happen, you know.
Well, since you mentioned love of your life, when it comes to my experiences, I've dated somebody for a long periods of time, and I think I dated her around 6-7 years. And one of the reasons why I broke up with her was to, like you guys, kind of experience more of life. Because I thought I was going to regret only dating one person in life and then not experiencing what being in love and being loved by... Because I only experienced it with one person, so I wanted to know how it would feel with different people. And plus, I felt like around then, I was 19, 20. I thought I was going to be a rock star. Many fans following me, which was not true, unfortunately. But yeah, that's what I was thinking around that time. And I wanted more experience. And I did get more experiences. I'm happy with those experiences too. But it made me think about, was it worth it? Like, were all those experiences worth spending a lot of time with that one specific person who I spent 7 years with? Was it worth risking that relationship? That's what I was thinking about. Because since you're 22, I don't know how many relationships you had, but with the ones that I had, most of my relationships, I guess they had kind of similar patterns. So, like I said, since my thoughts were probably different maybe last week, but now since I went through a breakup, it feels like you're living the same cycle over and over again. So, hopefully, if I meet somebody in the future, I wish I could say that it would be different, but up to this point, I feel like it's a very similar cycle. You end up doing the similar things. So why not invest a longer period of time with one person than just doing the same thing over and over again with many other people?
Bro, you're hurt.
I'm definitely hurt. You're right. That's true.
Damn. Okay.
Yes, that's true. But yeah.
I feel sad now.
No, don't be sad.
But
I'll be the one who's sad today. So
yeah, I can feel like I can understand why you feel like that.
Yeah.
And if you look at it that way, yeah, you're right. Like it's just the same cycle again and again. But it's the same thing for everything, you know, like not just for the dating life. Everything is just a cycle.
That's true, yeah.
But you can decide to break the cycle by changing your perception and changing the way you're seeing things. And also, even though it's a circle and you still do it like the same thing, like, you know, going on a date, first date, being in that relationship, then break up. Well, even if it's all the same circle, you still like experience something true and honest with one person at some point.
Oh, okay.
And it still gives you a lot. You know, it offers you a lot. I think that's something you shouldn't forget about.
So even though they have similarities, you value the honesty more than the similarities.
Yeah, and even though they have similarities, because like every person is different, even if you can see similarities, you will still experience different things. And also you will be able to meet someone new who will give you a different perception.
That's true.
And when you meet someone, I think that's something interesting, is that when you meet someone, you actually meet you again, because you see some stuff from other people's point of view.
Yeah.
And like you become kind of a new person. And it allows you to, I don't know, meet a new version of yourself. And I think that's an experience that it's very interesting.
Are you saying that you're in love with yourself? Sounds
I'm
kidding.
No.
It sounds narcissistic, but I'm joking, of course.
Like,
yeah, but that's true.
Yeah.
But what happens? So, do you think you're gonna regret not being honest in a relationship then?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because sometimes when you're in a relationship, it's not easy to be 100% honest. And by not being honest, I'm not just saying like cheating or, but you know, like those superficial things. I don't just mean that, but maybe you want something from the other person, but you're kind of scared to lose your relationship. That's why you kind of pretend that everything's okay, and you just accept the way it is. And so, but you don't really realize it in the moment when you're doing it, you know, because you're so invested in the game. But so, do you have any? Is there a way for you to find out when you're not being honest, like to reflect on yourself to see if you're being dishonest?
I just feel, I guess, when you're not honest with someone, you're not honest with yourself.
Yeah.
And I think like you can just feel it inside, like because I'm hypersensitive, I feel like every emotion like very strongly, you know. So when something is going on, I can feel it in my body, like I can feel this physical pain. And when I feel this physical pain, I think, okay, there's something going on, there's something wrong. So I just try to think about it and clarify everything and then figure out what's going on and if it's because I'm not being honest or not.
Well, what would happen if you kind of find out too late, you know? Because sometimes you ignore the signs a little too much, and then that's why when you're almost at the edge of the cliff, that's when it hits internally in your gut, and then that's when you feel it. Do you have any maybe advice or how you deal with those kind of situations?
I guess it's never too late to be honest.
That's actually a great answer, yeah.
Yeah, it's never too late. So as long as you're being honest at some point, you can still like fix it maybe. And like, I don't know, yeah. And as you say, like you can feel like you're in the edge of the cliff.
Yeah.
And so it can hurt. But I think like during this time, it's important to remind yourself that maybe you're not alone and you can rely on your friends, on your family to help you handle it, you know. And at least you're making the choice to being honest. So yeah.
Yeah, that's actually good advice. So I just finished my military service 2 years ago, I think, and I had a lot of time to reflect while I was serving, and I came to realize that kind of the same thing. I realized that it's always important to try to be honest, but so I thought I lived an honest life for maybe the past 1 year, and then this is the second year that I've been living, and you know, there's this thing when you think you know something, you actually don't know anything. And then when you realize you don't know anything, you learn. Then you think you know something, and it's the same cycle again. Then you realize that you don't know anything at all. So I think that's what kept on happening with my life at the moment. But I'm happy to learn. Happy to learn something new to grow as a person. But I try to not have regrets, but the some regrets that I have is maybe if I knew before. I know it doesn't make sense because I had to go through these experiences to know them and to learn them. But sometimes you can't help but to feel to go back and then to know what you've known now and then be better. because I feel sorry for some of the friends that I don't stay in contact with, or past relationships too. There is a small amount of guilt, and obviously I don't want to make the same mistakes, and I will try not to do. I'll try to be better for the people that I meet in the future, but since it's almost the end of the year, I was reflecting yesterday, and then made me think. I realize I have a bit of regret and not being the best version of myself, especially towards others, because I kind of have a strong sense of personality, so I tend to kind of force my ideas down to people. That's what I used to do a lot. But I disguised them as advices. Well, I didn't know I had disguised them, but initially they were actually advices. But in a way, I think it kind of made me feel good about myself giving the advice, and if they don't follow it, I'll kind of push it to like kind of force them to do it, and that kind of made the friendship and relationship kind of go apart, and I've learned not to do so. But with the current relationship that ended, with the new lesson, I tried to incorporate them and then be the best version, but still did not work out. Which kind of broke my heart a little bit. But so my question is, what do you think you have to do when you still try to do your best and the situation is not following? Like, okay, so for my instance, it was a long distance relationship, so hopefully she was in love with me too, but I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know at this point.
I feel so bad for you.
No. Yeah, just my genuine question. So, is there a way for you? Are there ways that you deal with situations that are out of your hand?
Well, actually, like something happened like this year.
Oh,
We're
okay.
talking about this year. Something happened this year. So I got a job. I was working, and I was. This job was an important step for my project, for my future project.
Can you explain your future project just a little bit? I don't, because I don't know either.
It's still on process.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's still on process. So I have to stay mysterious on it for now.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I don't blame you for that.
So anyway, so I was at this job, and actually I really loved this job. And everything was going good, but I can still feel like that something was going on before I came into Korea. I could feel that this job wasn't a good situation anymore, you know? And I talked about it to my friends. I talked about it to my family. And my mom gave me this very, very good advice. And now I think every time I'm in a bad situation, I think about that. She told me, Mary, if you're not feeling good in a situation, you're not the problem. The problem is not you. The problem is the situation that doesn't match you. So I try to think about that, and I'm like, this is right. Like, because I thought the problem was me. And sometimes when you're in this kind of situation, you can like have these questions and say like, oh, what is wrong with me? What is my problem? And you feel guilty, and you feel sad, and you feel misunderstood, and all this stuff, But you can say like, maybe the problem is not the person, the problem is not like me or in a relationship, the partner. Maybe the problem is just the situation. And I think that's what happened with you and your ex.
It's actually good.
The situation was not good. It wasn't you, it wasn't her, it was the situation.
So change the situation, change the environment.
Yeah, change the environment, exactly.
Yeah.
Don't hold on, like don't try to keep yourself and don't try too hard in a situation that is not for you, because it's not gonna match, you know.
It's good advice. You know, that's why maybe I have the urge to go to a different country just to change the environment a little bit. Yeah, or do something new. And I've been living in Hongdae for about 6 years, I think. So, very familiar environment.
Hongdae boy.
Definitely.
Sorry, I had to.
Don't steer the conversation into that way. We'll go there eventually, but yeah, I think it's important definitely to change the environment because we live in time and space. So because at this time I feel shitty because I'm in this environment. If I'm in a different environment, it might help me feel a little better, or whoever is in trouble. Yeah, so yeah, I guess that works. But I can't get the thought of Hongdae out of my head now since you mentioned it.
I'm sorry.
No, it's good. So yeah, 60 years ago when I first moved to Hongdae, there was no term called Hongdae fuckboy back then.
Oh, really?
No, it didn't exist yet.
It's recent?
I think kind of recent. I think I've started hearing it maybe 2-3 years ago. Yeah, but so when I first moved here, BTS wasn't that big yet, and so K-pop wasn't. Korea wasn't trending that much at that point. So people who were just interested sort of came to Korea just to experience it. But yeah, so not a lot of foreigners took interest in Korean men like now, because now Korea is kind of mainstream. So for the dating market, Asian men weren't as highly desirable. I feel around that point, and by the time K-pop was more trending, K-drama, BTS, and all of these things started to become mainstream. Ever since that, a lot of more foreigners took interest in Korean men, and maybe Korean men tried to take advantage of it, and that's when the term Hongdae fuckboy probably appeared.
Maybe.
But like, I feel to be honest, I'm one of the victims too, because apparently I have all the red marks as a Hongdae fuckboy. Because when I have an interaction with a foreigner, they ask me like, "Oh, where are you from?" I'm from Korea. So where do you live? I live in Hongdae. Oh, really? What do you do for a living? I do music. Oh, really? Are you in a relationship? No. Oh, really? So that chick's tick, 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 all the boxes. And you're like, oh, you're probably a Hongdae fuckboy. And whoever I like, if it was a female, if I had an interest in her, they would always be like, oh, don't ghost me. But ironically, they ended up ghosting me. So, which was pretty ironic, but yeah. But okay, so I have actually question for you. Why do you okay, I'll rephrase it. Why do you think Hongdae fuckboy started to appear?
I have no idea. I wasn't here when it started.
Well, it's happening now, so
yeah, I learned about it just before coming here, actually. And I was like, because I saw like on social media, I saw, lots of girls doing, because my feed was full of stuff about Korea, because obviously like the algorithm, you know. Yeah. So before coming here, I saw a lot of girls warning other girls to say, be careful to Hongdae boy. Don't trust Hongdae boys. And I didn't understand why. I was like, what's the problem? Like, how? And then I came here and I started going out in Hongdae and I understood. I was like, damn, That is real. Actually, like, I saw a lot of things. So when you go clubbing here, it's very different here and in France. Here, when you go clubbing, I discovered that people go clubbing to kind of hunt, you know?
Yeah.
With like that thing in mind.
Yeah. So hunting is kind of a term. You look for somebody that you're interested in, and then so basically you're looking for hookup.
Yeah.
So that's what hunt means. It's like a very Konglish thing. Konglish is like Korean English. So go hunting. but yeah, anyways, please continue.
So I realized they go for that, which really surprised me because in France, when I used to go to the club with my friends, it wasn't for that. It was just to dance, you know, and have fun with my friends.
Yeah.
And yeah, sometimes you can find someone else, like you can find somebody, but most of the time we don't care about that. It's not the first thing we think about, you know.
It might not be the first thing, but maybe it's like the third thing.
Maybe, but yeah, it's the first thing. It's the very first thing here. That's the thing.
True, yeah.
So I realized that. So first I was surprised about that. And then I realized how people do it. And I met a lot of people in Hongdae, in clubs. I met a lot of people who were doing kind of fuckboy things, you know? Like guys having secret girlfriends and going for girls, or like seeing girls telling me like they met someone and found out like he has girlfriend or stuff like that, you know? So I think that's why there's this term Hongdae fuckboy, because like this place there's a lot of people like that in this place. Obviously not everybody's like that, but
that's true. But I know I know Hongdae fuckboy is a problem, but the way that I see it too, it's both sides problem, because like you said, not every Hongdae person is a fuckboy. But not every Western girl that comes to Korea is a genuinely sweet person who just wants to explore the Korean culture.
Yeah.
So they come here to wanting to meet Korean men. So they kind of throw themselves pretty easily. And for some of them, that's one of their goals for coming to Korea, just to party and meet Korean men. And I don't think it's a small amount, actually. So it's actually a large amount that I've seen around Hongdae, and because of it, there are a lot of guys trying to take advantage of it. So I think it's actually the both sides problem.
Yeah.
And
like the guys are feeling hyped.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm Korean, so I'm pretty happy about it. I mean, don't get me wrong.
You're feeling hyped.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I'm pretty happy for the hype.
Yeah.
But what I want to say is, if you want to meet someone genuine, don't go to
of course the
don't
club
go
is
to
not the best place for that.
Yeah, so like
no matter like, and that's like universal.
Yeah,
if
exactly.
you want to make your soulmate, you're not going to the club. Like everybody knows
so
that.
I see some girls always complaining, oh, my boyfriend is a cheater. Where did you meet your boyfriend? I met him in a Hongdae club. Well, no shit, he's a cheater. Because probably 80% are cheaters, I guess.
Yeah.
Or I don't know, but it's very likely that you're going to meet a cheater in a club than wherever. I don't know, go to a cafe, but maybe you don't have the courage, or you're not drunk enough to talk to somebody.
Yeah, I mean,
place. But
if you meet a cute girl in a cafe, would you go talk to her?
I mean, if she was really cute, maybe. But that's why good relationships come hard, because you have to make an effort. And when you're drunk, or when you're aimlessly just going around, it comes easier and it goes easier too. So just have to realize, you know, like if you want something genuine, then you have to make an effort too. And it's definitely not in the club. I mean, I have fun in clubs too. Like, don't get me wrong. I used to like partying too, but if you want something genuine, I would recommend maybe a hobby that you could have in Korea. Many things that you could do, you know. But ironically, I met you in a club, so
yeah.
Well, yeah, that's why I'm saying like not every interaction is bad, but.
Thank you for saying my interaction is not bad.
Well, to be honest, when I first met you, you were drunk and you were dancing around. So I was like, another foreign girl, just drunk and wanting to party. But I realized I was completely wrong. So I apologize. And maybe you thought I was like, there's another Hongdae man approaching. Cut him off. Maybe that's how you thought, but.
Actually, no, but.
I'm glad you didn't think that.
Yeah.
Probably because I bought you kebab that day.
Probably.
Yeah, so I was being...
And probably because of Egon necklace.
Oh, yeah. Why? What do you want to talk about?
No, I think that's the reason I went to you guys.
That's actually true.
That's because of that necklace.
I have a friend... Yeah, he came from Vietnam, and he has a necklace of marijuana. He had a marijuana necklace, actually. So apparently Marie smokes marijuana in France. And she's like, can you find marijuana in Korea? Well, maybe, but not from us. But that's, I guess, how we broke the ice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe if I wore marijuana necklace, it would be easier for me to break the ice too with my new interaction. But yeah. Oh, but, actually, that actually kind of ice breaking made me kind of reminded me how I make French friends really easily. So ever since I moved to Hongdae, when I first moved to Hongdae, there's a place called the Playground. Actually, used to be a legit playground. And now they kind of changed it into a park. So, but back then, around 6 years ago, all my friends lived in Pundang, which is about 1 hour away from here. And I came to a new town, wanting to make friends. But the way for Koreans to make friends is you are invited into a friend social group, or somebody introduces you to another friend. So that's how you become friends. Through a person or through a mutual gathering or community. That's how you become friends here. So it was kind of difficult for me to make Korean friends when I first moved here. And that's why I used to go to some bars where there were a lot of foreigners who were traveling. And since they were traveling, they were happy to meet a local here as well. So it's actually quite easy for me to make friends. And one night I was walking around the playground and one girl, she approached me. She's like, do you smoke? I was like, no, I don't smoke. She's like, oh, okay. Do you have a lighter? No, I said I don't smoke, so of course I don't have a lighter. She's like, oh, okay, stupid of me. But apparently she was from France, and she invited me to hang out with her friends. So I became really good friends with them. I'm still staying in contact with them. And so I was watching the World Cup, and somebody was screaming, "On va cramer des bagnoles!" Yeah. So I was like, what the hell does that mean? And they're like, burn cars. Yeah. Burn cars. Okay, that's amazing. So I'm going to memorize that. So I memorized that phrase. And ever since that, I don't know why I started it, but I think it's because every time I use it, French people kept on laughing. So I think...
Because it's a very French thing to say. So, revolution, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So subconsciously, I think I picked it up. So whenever I go to a French person, so I have my routine to make French friends. I'm like, are you from France? Because I can hear their accent. They're like, oh yeah. First of all, I asked them, are you from Paris? They're like, no. Oh, really? Okay, then maybe you're a little sweeter. So then I do my line. I say, I have one sentence that'll make you laugh. And I start with, on va cramer des bagnoles. And they're like, oh my God, how do you know this shit? And I say, oh, I have some French friends. And then they taught me some bad words. I literally don't know what they mean, but... So they taught me some really bad words. They're like, nique ta mère, fils de pute.
Do you know what that means?
I don't know. Don't tell me. But I'll finish the story and then you can tell me.
Okay.
So I that's what I learned. But I learned the important thing. I learned c'est une blague. It's like, it's a joke. So I say all the bad words.
That's a private joke actually between my friends and I.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's what I do. So I go to a random French stranger. I say like all these bad words and I say, it's a joke. And they're like, oh my God, you're like, how do you know this? And I tell them, I learned French when I was 13. So I can only say I'm 13. So I say, j'ai 13 ans. And they're like, what the fuck? Yeah, and then I say, oh, since I lived in Germany, I have like a decent French accent, so I can say Harry Potter in the Frenchiest way possible. They're like, okay, try it. Harry Potter, Harry Potter, ta galerie. Yeah, and I always makes them laugh, and then become friends. That's actually. I think I tried that.
Do you want me to tell you the translation of what you just said?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, so nique ta mère.
I know ta mère is mother.
Yeah, it means fuck your mom.
Also, it's motherfucker.
No. Yeah, motherfucker, but no, it's not motherfucker because it's not an insult. You're not insulting the person. You're gonna say, go fuck your mom.
Ah, okay.
You know?
Ah.
And what's the other one you said?
Fils de pute.
Yeah, it means son of a bitch.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the classics.
Yeah, the classics.
The classics all over the world.
And it's kind of funny that you said, c'est une blague.
Yeah, c'est une blague.
C'est une blague.
Yeah.
It's a joke.
Yeah.
Because I have like my group of friends from Bordeaux, people I used to work with. And my manager used to always say, c'est une blague, but kind of in a funny way, like, c'est une blague. You know, like I did very wrong. If she saw that, she would be mad, you lost it. But yeah, so she always used to say that. And it just got stuck in my head. And one day I told her, like, every time something is happening, you know, like someone does something wrong or something like that, she always said that, like, c'est une blague, you know. And one day I told her, you know, when I'm not here, when I'm not at work, when I'm like doing my life, you know, in my place or like with my friends, and something is happening, I can hear you saying c'est une blague. And so she laughed so hard. And since like we're just like all the other friend group were just like saying it like repeatedly, you know. So
Marie?
Hearing c'est une blague from you, I was like, Dave, Taylor, is that you?
The way of the universe.
Yeah.
They're talking.
But yeah. Pretty fun.
You're quite in tune with the universe, right?
Yeah.
You feel?
I try to.
What makes you think that way?
I don't know. I just feel like there's a flow of energy. Yeah, like we're a connection, like the connection, and we're just a flow of energy. And you know, like sometimes you can feel that things are coming.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you have sometimes you have a very good feeling, sometimes you have a very bad feeling, and you can feel stuff coming, you know. And also I have like a very spiritual family. So maybe that's why. Yeah.
Ah, I didn't know that.
So like on my mom's side, it's very spiritual. And so I think that's why I feel like that, because I can feel, you know, like all these flows of energy. And like I told you, I can feel other people's feelings. Like yesterday when you were
I was feeling pretty sad. And then...
Yeah, like I remember I was like, because yesterday it was snowing.
Yeah.
So I was so happy because I don't see the snow a lot, you know, coming from the south of France.
I'm sorry I made you sad.
No, but like really, I was so happy. I was full of energy. And before coming to visit you, not only I was happy because of the snow, but I saw this very cute dog.
Yeah.
That was like the same dog as my best friend, who I really miss, you know, like I miss my best friend and I see the same dog as my best friend while it's snowing, and I love dogs. I was like, oh, can I pet your dog? And the guy was Canadian. I was like, yeah, of course. So I talked a little bit with the guy and I was so happy. And then I came, I entered the room and I was like, whoa.
Was it really that bad? My God, I had no idea.
I was like, it felt like there was a storm in the room, you know?
Yeah,
like,
I was really overwhelmed yesterday, to be honest.
Yeah, I felt that. And I was like, damn. And so that's what I mean. Like when I say I'm very in tune with the universe and with the flows outgoing, you know, like around us. Like I just like try to feel everything in more like a spiritual way. And also maybe it helps me to handle some stuff, you know?
Yeah,
thinking like that.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I think the way that I deal with it is, I think by nature I'm pretty emotional and sensitive too, I think. But the way that I've dealt it so far is not necessarily trying to be rude to anybody or something like that. I just don't really care much, try not to care about people, because once I invest my time and energy in them, I get really devoted into their lives. Like they're kind of like me. So, and that kind of stresses me out. So sometimes it's painful, sometimes it's stressful, sometimes I get angry. So I get too emotionally attached with whoever they are. So, the way that I dealt with it was I kind of distanced myself from regular interactions when I first meet people. So when people first see me, they kind of think that I'm an introvert because I necessarily don't talk a lot with people.
Yeah, I thought you were an introvert, actually.
But when people get to know me, they know that actually I'm very talkative. I'm extroverted. It's just that I don't want to invest too much time and energy in others that won't have a significant impact on me, because once I put my time and energy, I know I will. So I think that's my defense mechanism.
But how can you know if someone will have a significant impact on your life?
I just watch them from behind, you know? That's why they think I'm an introvert in the beginning. I just listen to them. I just like see what kind of person they are. Like, you can definitely say I'm very judging in a way, but like I said, it's just the way I feel. That's my defense, you know? Because I know I guess I've learned if I don't do that, I tend to get hurt. So, yeah. If you say it in a bad way, I judge people and I select them. But, yeah. But, I mean, but I still learned that even if you select those people, it always doesn't turn out the right way. You still go on different paths sometimes, and I don't know. Whenever that happens, it still hurts, but yeah, learn to deal with it. Yeah. So I mean, I guess what I wanted to say was, I understand how you are feeling the energy, especially with people too. I think I would have been kind of like that too if I wasn't too afraid of getting to know somebody. And I think that's actually, I realize that it's actually my problem too. In a way, my problem too. Not wanting to go back to my breakup, but the way I don't say that I'm dating somebody very lightly. So it takes some time for me. And when I date somebody, I date them for long periods of time. So the longest one was around 6-7 years. The one that followed was about 2 years. The one after was 3 years. And actually, so has been in a way, the shortest, you could say. But but every relationship that I chose, I become pretty invested in it, and in a way, I guess I put the other person more than myself in a way, which I know is not healthy. But because I'm so selective when it comes to people and friends, I say so reserved, and I have all this because I want to love people too, my friends and whoever that I fall in love with. I want to share these emotions and this love, and when I find them, I just maybe overwhelm them, or I put too much meaning into that one person, and when it ends up not being the way that I want, obviously I'm the one that's very disappointed. So it took me quite some time to learn it. This time I couldn't help. Obviously, I idealized the person and I put a great amount of love into that person. But at the same time, I tried to respect the significant other and try to listen and not put myself first. By that I mean not to put my needs first, and because like I said, I wanted to be honest. So I really thought about what was the best for the both of us, and not putting greed first, because sometimes you can be really greedy in a relationship, and I'm pretty guilty in being greedy too in my past relationships. So I really did not want that, especially for her. So, you know, there were some times when I was really mad. I meditated before I called.
Yeah.
Just to kind of reflect.
Everything down.
To calm everything down too, and just to understand if what I'm feeling is actually real or not. Because some emotions are like the wind, it comes and goes. So I was just trying to watch it from afar to see if it was something necessary to talk about. And then I let the wind pass, and then I saw what was underneath, and then I was like, okay, that's the truth. So I was like, but at times I was afraid of telling the truth because I thought that was going to hurt the relationship. But yeah.
But you know, I think that when it comes to relationship, any kind of relationship, like partners, friendship, family, anything, when it's someone you really care about and you really love, and you have some problem with that person, I think you shouldn't be afraid to tell the truth.
Yeah, I agree.
Because you have to think that it's not you against that person. It's like both of you like against that problem.
Yeah.
And you should like communicate, but to communicate, you should tell the truth.
Definitely.
You can't communicate if you're not honest.
Yeah. So through this experience, I actually had a realization. In my past relationships with friends and lovers too, even if I said it in the nicest way possible, I was kind of disagreeing for who they were in a fundamental level, but I disguised it and said it in a nice way. Because I would say, like, for instance, if somebody doesn't put too much attention in you if you're in a relationship, but it's just the way that the person, it's just the way they are, you know? It's nothing wrong, it's nothing right, it's just the way it is. But before, the way that I would talk, I would be like, oh, why aren't you doing this? But in a nice way, of course. You know, like...
just questioning.
Yeah, but asking them, why aren't you like this, is kind of disagreeing with them. It's not like seeing them for who they are, you know? So... But if you continuously do it, it kind of piles up, I feel. So if you look underneath if you see the truth, the hidden message, because the underlying message is that I am not accepting for who you are. But I realized, I can't really do that because there's no such thing as right or wrong. It's just the way that the person is. So I had to accept it. But I realized at the same time, that person is like that, the way that the person is, and I realize I am me the way that I am. So
yeah, but I think it's still interesting to ask that person why they are like that, because it can help you understand
of course.
why they are like that and why they act like that sometimes. So if something happened with someone and you're like, oh, why are you like that? And because something just hurt you or anything, you know,
you can
understand then why that person is like that. So if it happens again, you will be less hurt because you will be like, oh, I know what that person is like that.
Exactly. Communication is definitely really important, but the thing that I was trying to say was you just have to place your words kind of carefully, because if you say so the way that I changed it, I rephrased it. It was the same thing. Because you want the same thing. You just want to be loved. That's like the essential thing that you want. But the other person wants to be loved too. And they want to be loved for who they are. So I realized you had to accept the person first. I was like, oh, okay. I understand why you are like that. I understand who you are. I get it. And I think so it's not that I'm not disagreeing with who you are, but at the same time I want you to realize I am who I am. So
yeah, it's not bad consideration.
Yeah, exactly. So I understand you are that, but I am this person and I need certain things. So definitely a compromise. So but you have to phrase it really carefully. You can't say you're wrong. But it's very easy to say, yeah, it's very easy to say that you're wrong, especially when you're so devoted and when you're very emotional. It's very easy to say, oh, why are you doing that? And you're wrong. But you just have to realize that if you take a step back, it's not right or wrong. It's just the situation that the person is in, and it's just the way that they are for who they are at the moment. And I realize that I have to see them in that sense, you know? And yeah, I've realized I haven't been like that for a lot of my friends. So that's like, you know, the full circle. That's why I was feeling a little guilty. What if I knew? I would have been a little different, maybe a little more considerate. But sad and happy, you know? Sad that I lost them. At the same time, happy that I've learned my lesson so I can be a little better. But yeah.
But you know, if you're very sad or guilty about someone you lost because of that, you can still contact that person again.
Yeah, I tried actually. Yeah, I tried. And like one of my good traits about me is I'm not afraid talking to people that I haven't talked to in a long periods of time. So if somebody pops into my head and if I want to talk to them, I'd say, hey, how are you doing? I hope you're doing great. It's like, it's not difficult for me. Yeah. And I don't get disappointed if they don't reply back because we still haven't been in contact for like maybe 4 or 5 years. And it's basically, you don't even know each other. Right? So if they contact me back, like good for me. If they don't, then too bad, you know? Like it doesn't really bother me too much. So I'm not afraid, but so obviously I tried and the reason why I was feeling kind of not satisfied was, of course, because they haven't replied. But I mean, obviously, I tried to make an effort too. But yeah, sometimes you are so hurt, even the other person's apology can hurt the person, you know? So I was like, maybe it's not the right time. Maybe it's for me to take a step back and just to let how you said it, let time do its magic, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So before we did the podcast, we watched another podcast for reference, and we watched this. Our favorite Santa since it's Christmas, Rick Rubin, is a phenomenal producer, of course, and there was something that he said that kind of made a big impact, I think, on the both of us. It's not word by word, but the context was you try to work on something, you try something really hard and it doesn't go along your way, and there's something that you don't even have to try and it's just so easy. And maybe that's just the universe showing you it's not time for it yet. So I like how you phrased it. It's not time yet. It's not like you're not getting it. It's not the time. It's not the right moment. Maybe in a different time you will have it. But I like how you said that. I like how you phrased it not too negatively.
Yeah. Like maybe it will happen, maybe it will not, but
that's
now,
the beauty of it, right?
Yeah, for now, just focus on something else.
Yeah, just focus on what you have. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's what I try to do, of course. You know, every time something bad happens, you tend to focus on the negativity. But I realize it's quite happy too, in a way, because ironically, a breakup is kind of the hardest thing for the person going through it. But because it happens to everybody, ironically, people, it's like the least thing that you care about, for like if it's not your thing. You know what I mean? Because everybody knows in time they'll be better. So they don't necessarily put too much effort in trying to. Obviously, of course, they try to comfort the person who's hurt, but not to a great extent, I feel, because like it's not like you lost somebody, and it's not like they're dead or anything, right? So, but in this case, for me, like a lot of my friends were so supportive in a way. Made me feel actually that I was quite blessed, to have great friends. I lost some friends too, but the ones that are still around me, they're giving me like really solid advice. Not just shallow advice, they don't just say like, oh, like she's gonna, no, not like that. They're like, they told me that, oh, it's not Emma's fault, it's not even your fault, it's nobody's fault. It's just the way it is. And the ones that are around now, they perceive it in a, they are able to take a step back, and how they see is, well, if you take a step back, you can kind of say that nothing is pointless. So you're putting too much meaning into what's pointless. So if it's pointless and if there is no meaning, it doesn't really matter. So if it doesn't matter, then don't be sad about what had no meaning in the beginning, and just do whatever makes you happy. And he said, well, that's why you should come out and have a drink with me. But I quit drinking for 3 months. So I told my friend, well, what happens if I'm really happy not drinking? And he's like, fuck you. Well, then you shouldn't drink. But still, fuck you. But yeah. Good friends, great company, And you too. You obviously helped me a lot. Like sadness comes in waves, and yeah, I think the way that I deal with the waves is communicating through talking with somebody. You told me that for you is writing, mostly. I tried to write, but helps vaguely, but yeah, for me, more of talking. But I like how you said yesterday, how you said you shouldn't keep all these emotions internally. You have to externalize what you're feeling. Did you have any experiences yourself where you had to externalize all these overwhelming feelings? Were there, if it's too much, you don't have to share it, but just curious.
Yeah, a lot of time actually. Because I told you I'm hypersensitive.
Yeah.
And also I'm an overthinker. It's not a good combo, So, even good feelings, I have to put it outside because I feel it's in such a big way that my body can handle it. And sometimes, even when I'm happy, sometimes I'm so happy that my body physically hurts, I can feel the pain of happiness, which is kind of a paradox. But so I always, since I'm a child, I learned how to put everything outside. And because I was very shy, very introvert, I didn't talk to people at all. My brother used to talk for me, actually. Really? When people were asking me questions, he was the one to reply. But I didn't talk. So since I'm a child, I started to write, and that's why now it's meaningful to me because I know how to use it to express my feelings. So now every time I feel like this big ocean of emotions, I just write everything down to clarify my mind because also I'm an overthinker, so everything is so in a blur,
Yeah.
So it helps me to clarify what's happening in my mind and to put my feelings outside of my body. And so I've been using it for some period of my time where it wasn't like my good period, you know. And so I think that really helped me and that really saved me to put everything outside. And also it can allow you, because you said that sometimes it's hard to tell the truth to someone.
Yeah.
And it's hard to be honest. But by writing, I can keep it for myself while still like saying what I need to say. So
it's quite interesting because that's the way that I approach songwriting. That's how I realized what song. There was this one song that I written. I use songwriting as that kind of a medium to be an outlet. And once I finished that song, it made me realize, oh, this is what songwriting is. Like, oh, okay, this is like the pure expression, you know? Since songwriting is kind of like that for me, and you seem to write a lot, do you have any ambitions in like maybe a book or a poem and sharing your thoughts or your creative thoughts with the world maybe someday? Is it one of your goals that you would like to achieve?
Yeah, of course, it is. Yeah, I'm trying to experiment some different kind of writing. So I started writing by writing on my dreams.
About your dreams?
Yeah,
that's
about
quite
my
interesting.
dreams.
Okay.
Because this is also something I do. Like, I use my dreams to solve my problems. Because I can do, you know, like, how do you call it in English again? Lucid dreams?
Yeah, lucid dreams.
Yeah, lucid dreams.
Can you do that?
I can do that. I can do that, actually.
Yeah.
And so I do that since I'm a kid, actually. Like, I don't know how I learned this thing, but spiritual, you know. So I can do that. And actually, like, when I was a child, I had a dream that made me realize that the dreams that you make can actually be a door to your subconscious.
Yeah, definitely.
And so since that day, I try to use my dreams to do that. Because sometimes when you feel overwhelmed, it's because your subconscious knows something that your conscious doesn't know. And so that's why you can feel overwhelmed and you don't understand what's happening and you're confused. So I use my dreams to fix that, you know, to say, okay, you can talk now. Do your shit and tell me what's going on.
It's kind of like Inception.
Then I just write it down. So I started writing dreams in kind of a storyline, you know, kind of fictional book or fictional text, something like that. And then I was like, why stop here? I want to do something more. I want to try to be more creative. So I tried to write poems. I tried to write lyrics. I tried to write like more like realistic thing and more like fictional thing. Are
you afraid to kind of share that with the world?
It's kind of, because when I'm writing, I'm very vulnerable.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I guess I'm writing down some stuff that I'm too afraid to tell to people. But at first, like, I started to show people what I write, but only my close friends, like only my best friends and my brother, some of the stuff also, because at some point, like, I started writing again 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Because I stopped for a few years and I started again 2 years ago and as a therapy. And one day I remember I wrote a song. It was the first song I wrote. And it just made me realize everything that was going on. So I shared it with my brother who knew what's going on and with my neighbor who also knew what's going on. And they both told me that had an impact because they can see that it's true. And because I know what's going on, they were like, oh, I can see everything in your lyrics right now. And so
Quite powerful.
Yeah, so I thought that made me think like maybe even though it's hard, even though it's scary, maybe I should try to do something about it and share it with people, because if someone can relate to it and if it can help someone, then I would be happy with that, you know, like it's like when you can relate on a song.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
You're like, oh, I'm so happy this song is out because I can relate on it and it helps me to deal with my emotions. And I'm feeling maybe if I have the guts to do it, you know, it would be nice for people who might need it. So I'm thinking about it.
You know, the ironic part for me was like your writing, some music comes from a place of vulnerability, but now the world is kind of forcing you to show it, especially on social media. And because you have to promote yourself, you know. If you think it as a business model, then you kind of these are the most vulnerable art, but at the same time, when you want to express it and when you want to show it to the world, it's the most opposite the way that I felt. And especially like with TikTok or these shorts, they're like, it's the banger of the summer, and then they're like, look how I made, you know, like it's not that I can't make those content, it's just I can't do it because that's not how I create. So that's kind of different. But throughout time, obviously, it's not a bad thing, of course, to make money out of your art. So for everybody, it's obviously different. The way that I saw it was, okay, I had those moments when I was like, okay, I want to be the best. I want to look so cool. Like just the best version, like, you know, like the picture perfect, everything. But obviously that's pretty fake. And like I said, going back to being truth, right? Being honest too with your art. I didn't like those like, oh, the hottest banger of the summer, how I created something. The reason why I didn't like it was I felt like it was kind of fake. But I realized what I was doing was fake too, just in a different way. So how can I approach it in a more authentic, genuine way? Is that okay? So in the basic core, everybody wants to be loved. They want to give love and receive love. So that was the core idea. So I was like, okay, so I want to receive love too. So that's the content that I feed my soul, I guess, that I consume. And if I want to give back, it should be the same. So now I don't really care too much about how cool this is. I care more about, how much love can this content, or how much good can this be, even with music too. So I approach it more, okay, so I want to sing. If I sing, it's out of love. If I read something, it's out of love. That's the way that I try to do it. Of course, not always 100%, but I don't know if you have it too. Sometimes I express it as like having a switch. Oh, some people call it flow, I guess. So when you're in it, you're just like completely immersed and you're in it, right? So I think we all have to switch, but great artists can manually turn them on and off. So when they have to do it, they can turn it on. So obviously I have my vulnerabilities too. Whenever I have to perform live maybe, or if a situation comes when I have to collaborate with somebody, my first initial instinct is to run away because I'm afraid. But now the way that I try to see it is, okay, I want to be genuine and it should be out of love. So I hope that we could have the best time possible. What if I collaborate with somebody that I haven't with? Or if I sing for somebody, I hope through what I'm doing brings some memory, or if they, maybe just they have a good time. Just me doing something will make a positive impact. That's the way that I try to see it. And it's kind of how you put it too, you know, how they read your writings and how they could understand you much better. And I think by understanding you, I think they understood themselves much better too.
Maybe. I don't know, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, maybe, but hopefully you're ready to, whatever way it is, you know, share your view of the world.
Yeah. But it's very scary though, because as I said, like, it's very vulnerable.
Yeah, definitely.
But also what I'm putting on paper when I write is the truth.
Yeah.
You know, it's like how I feel.
Yeah.
And I just putting the truth and being honest, and I'm
that's
trying
good.
to be authentic.
Great.
But I know that if I share it with people and they don't accept it with like kindness, or like if they're being judgmental, I think that would hurt me a lot, because I'm trying to stay true.
It could. I understand.
You know? So that's why I'm very scared also to share my work usually, because I'm like, I know like
yeah.
Sometimes it's not perfect. A lot of time it's not perfect actually, because I'm still learning, you know? And so obviously a lot of time it's not perfect. Sometimes I'm very happy with what I'm doing. Sometimes I'm not very happy. But even when I'm not very happy, I'm trying to think, even if it's not perfect, at least I stay authentic and honest. And that's what I want to value the most.
You know, actually that's a great weapon, like being honest. Because if you think it this way, then nobody can really hurt you, because if you're not authentic and if you try to compromise and if somebody hates it, then you regret it, you know? But if somebody hates you for how you saw it, then the way that I see it was, okay, just their world is different. So none of us are wrong. It's how I saw it. If you saw it that way, that's fine. Doesn't mean I'm wrong. Doesn't mean you're right. Doesn't mean you're wrong. It's just the way it is. So
yeah, maybe. But it's still scary though.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, because everybody's afraid of being judged, but at least you're being true. And if it connects with even one, maybe that's meaningful, because you know the butterfly effect. You don't know how that one impact can. You don't know what it can do. You really don't know. So
yeah. And I think one more thing that I'm very afraid of is that some of the stuff that I write are very dark and very depressing, you know, sometimes. And I know I'm actually very lucky, because I have a lot of good person around me, and I have a lot of people who really care about me and really love me and want the best for me. But I know that sometimes, like, I write stuff, and like if they read it, it will break their heart, because they will be like, damn, they will want to help, and I know that maybe they will feel like useless, or just hurt by the fact that I may be hurt like that sometimes, you know. So I'm like, that's also scary, you know.
It's quite interesting, yeah.
Because I know that everything you do, everything you say, everything you feel, or everything you reject will have impact on people around you.
Definitely, yeah.
And I'm trying to be careful about that.
It's quite an interesting point, because the things that I usually create, I don't think I've ever really created something really dark. My creations are from a place of vulnerability too. the way that I put it is I really like sad hope. That's how I see life. Sad hope. It's kind of sad, but you hope. And with that hope, it makes it kind of beautiful because it makes it full. So, yeah, it's never truly extreme on one side. Because obviously, if I did it, obviously, if you imagined it, you could probably write something really happy out of the spot. So, because I have the knowledge, like some chord progressions or some things like that to write something that would be perceived pretty sad, but obviously that wouldn't be my authentic thing. But like I have the tools to do it, but I don't think I've ever done it because maybe that's not the way how I saw the world. And maybe I needed those sad hopes because I was sad and I needed hope. So that was the thing that I was needing the most. So that's what I created. Maybe I didn't create it because I was the depressed being and I needed the balance of something like sad and hopeful. Maybe it's the opposite for you. Maybe you were too hopeful and you needed the balance of creating something really depressing to get it out.
No, actually, I wasn't too hopeful at all, and I was feeling very, very, very bad. And I was about to give up. Like, I was like, this can't happen,
Yeah, we have those moments, yeah.
Yeah, and so that's around this time when I started to write again. I was like, I can't keep that for myself, but I didn't want to tell my lover ones about this. I didn't want to tell my family. I didn't want to tell my friends because I know that people always knew me as like kind of a sunshine, like always happy, always smiling a lot and like, always spreading like good vibes. And when that period hit me, I was afraid of showing it to other people because I know that would break their heart a lot. And that's why I didn't tell them. And actually, I started talking about it to people around me when I was starting the healing process. To tell them, okay, this is what's going on in my life, but don't worry because now I started the healing process. So I'm getting better.
That's
because
good.
I didn't want that to get too worried about me. Because I know it's kind of stupid though. Like I remember one day my neighbor from Bordeaux, she was like, girl, that's what people are here for, They are here for you on your good times, but also on your bad times. And that's
why did you say that?
Thinking that...
It's exactly what I said to my ex.
Oh, shit.
It's quite funny.
Yeah, so...
Yeah.
She was like, look, she told me, look, when I'm having a bad time, do you think like I bring you down, or do you feel like does it make you feel like in a terrible place? No, you just try to help me because you love me and because you care about me and you want me to feel good and you're happy to be here to help.
Yeah.
So it's the same for people who want you.
That's true, but it's hard to see it the other way sometimes.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, about...
So yeah, anyway, so what I wrote about this period of time, it was very dark because, as I told you, like, you shouldn't keep everything inside. And because I didn't want to talk to people, I had to do something to like that. So this is why I wrote everything that was on my mind on this time. And so that's why it was very, very dark.
Recently, I had something good happen to me, and then obviously something bad happened to me, and I found it quite interesting how we were in a different end of spectrum and we valued different things. By that, what I'm trying to say is, so recently I was pretty fortunate to give out a song that I've written with some of my friends to a big Korean drama. So it's obviously like not monumental success, but it's a good starter. It's a good check mark for my career, of course, which I was briefly happy about. And one of the reasons why we ended up with, so one of the reasons why my relationship failed was obviously the distance too, and the other thing was she was trying to put her career as a priority, which I understand, of course. I'm career driven too, so but so selling this song is obviously one of the high points of my life, but like, to be honest, it didn't mean that much. Like, I was briefly happy for maybe a day when I first got the phone call. But after that, it actually brought me more negativity in a way too. Because I had some problems about the credits and everything. So how to split. So it was fine if it was just friends, but there was this one guy that we didn't talk to anymore. So when he got involved, everything was pretty difficult, and I became quite greedy when that happened too. And so that made everything kind of worse. Eventually we dealt with it, but it made me realize, oh, okay, when it actually comes to what I felt was like superficial things, I become superficial too, because I became very calculative about these when it comes to splitting. And so what I want to say is it was a high point, but I wasn't too happy about it. And in the opposite spectrum, my ex, she is obviously younger than me, and she's wanting her career. So I just find it pretty funny how obviously she chose her career. I would have chose my career too, but I'm questioning now at this point what is more valuable. And what's funnier is actually me doing this podcast is much more valuable than actually selling the song, to be honest. And that's the truth. Because this is what I care more to enrich my life, hopefully enrich the other person or whoever might be listening to. Just to know more and to get to know yourself better. Yeah, so career, obviously important, but I think for me, value is more important. So I think it should be correlated. Like your values and your career should have a link. And going back again, like my link is spreading out love. So, being a good. And just selling songs and writing is good, but at the moment I'm not really sure how for me personally is a way of loving the world. I like the act of doing it to create with the people that I love. So I just focus on that and not try to focus on too much into actually selling the song. Because that made me there was a point where I was really depressed, where I was really obsessed about selling songs. And I obviously had no success. Was really negative. I think I was the most negative in my life around that period because obviously I started out doing music because I said I loved it, but I said, oh yeah, I'm fucking writing this song for some artist. obviously it's not gonna fucking sell anyway, so why bother? So that was my mentality. So if I write a song in that mentality, who would want to buy that song, you know? So it was wrong from the get-go. But yeah, I like to share my personal things, and if it's something commercial, it's kind of hard to put your vision in a commercial thing because they have their own vision. So it's a cooperation. So it could be fun, but obviously it's not my primarily goal. For me, like I said, it's working with the people that I love, and so that's what I tried to focus lately. I was pretty happy to do the podcast with you two, and yeah, to meet a great guy who's gonna edit the video. I actually met him in the reserved force training for the military. Actually, really didn't want to go. Yeah. Just the day before. Yeah, I was on the verge of not going and telling them that I was sick or something because I really didn't want to go. But you know, life. You do what you don't want to do, and then sometimes you get something more valuable. So I learned that while I was in the service. So I was like, the day before, I was like, yeah, I gained so much while I was in the military. Who says I won't gain anything in these 4 days experiences of going to the reserve force? So I did. Yeah, like met great guys, ended up doing this. Sorry about the stream of consciousness, but what I was going back was like, for me, I find this more valuable, you know, and I don't feel stressed of doing it. I love doing it. I love sharing my thoughts. It's something that's very natural with what I can do, what I think I'm quite good at. I mean, obviously, there are other people who could be better than me, but it's what I enjoy, and sometimes some of my friends told me whenever they listen to my stories, they enjoy it. I enjoy to listen to other people's story. I like to the reason why I like conversations is it's a stream of consciousness, and it can go one direction, but it's like a ping pong, and then it becomes this conversation becomes its own new thing, right? And I can't do it by myself. So yeah, I kind of value that. So that's important for me. And so yeah, for my ex, she obviously finds career, and I think one of the reason, I can't say for sure, but I think money is quite a big factor in her too, like making enough for her to be stable. But yeah, I guess that was maybe the core difference. But it's not that she's wrong or I'm right, nothing like that at all. But I just find it interesting at the moment just to observe it and the way it is. And just try to let that sink in. I don't know what the conclusion will be just yet, but yeah. I think we talked a lot. Oh my God. You want to take a break?
Yeah, okay.